Hello everybody, welcome to week 3 of Intro to Cultural Anthropology. I want to apologize for the kind of extremely bright sunbeam coming in over my left shoulder. Can't seem to really figure out what to do about that except to move to a different place, not here at my desk, which not so good. You don't want to see a video from my kitchen, right? I want to tell everybody that, wow, you did a great job with last week's discussions. The clear, thoughtful, not overly personal comments that folks made about race and linguistics over the last week were great. I do have one quick suggestion about your peer responses as you move forward, and that is that those peer responses are intended to engage with both the material we're discussing, so like the text or the video, whatever it is we're writing about that week, and the other student's entry in an analytical fashion. So you want to have thoughtful engagement. What did you think about that thing? I wrote about this and you totally disagreed. Can you explain to me why you have this different point of view? Oh, I really like that point you brought up, and I found this additional source that I want to share with you that I think you'd find interesting. Stuff like that. What we're not looking for in peer responses is, great post, I really like the way you said that thing, nice job, good luck at school. We want some actual thoughtful content in those peer responses. So, if you're doing the first kind, maybe try to change that a little for next week. That would be great. Okay, I have one quick point I want to clear up from last week. Many of you chose option A in our discussion, the topic on race and racial smog. I do want to clarify the difference between race, racism, and racialism, which was a little unclear in the forums. Okay, so race is this idea that there are clear and distinct biological groups that we can break people up into. We all know what they mean, and they are the same everywhere. Maybe not entirely true. In anthropology, we think that race is not really a biological construct, and one of the reasons we think that is because there's actually a lot more genetic diversity inside a group we think of as race than there is between two different groups we think of as races. Another reason is because if you go to another country that maybe has the same palette of skin colors, they might not break it into the same groups that we do. Like, we tend to think in the US mostly of white and black. Sometimes we chuck brown into the group, and sometimes we talk about biracial, but there are places that have 7 racial categories. There are places that have 13. There are some places where they're very mobile and you can move between them based on your economic status. So, race, mobile, cultural, not biological. Then, folks were talking quite a bit about racism, and I want to clarify the difference between racial discrimination and racism. Now, racial discrimination is this idea that you can probably tell that I'm a white person, right? And this is not my personal feeling, but I, as a white person, know things about other racial groups that I find to be negative, and I am going to judge individuals or those groups based on those characteristics that I think I know because of their perceived race. Okay? I, not really me, am white, and so I think that all of the brown people are bad. Okay? Racial discrimination. Or I, African American, also not really me, think that all of the white people are bad based on this set of cultural stereotypes that we have. Racism is a related but different concept. In racism, in order to have racism, you have to have unequal power between the groups. And this group has to have pretty much all of the institutionalized power. And this group, the minority group, has to have pretty much none of it, or much less, okay? So racism is having the power to institute rules and laws and ideas, right, that have effect on these people's lives, right, because you have power over them. So if you are in the group that has most of the power in your society, which here would be white people, if you are in that group, you are not experiencing racism. Okay? You might very well be experiencing racial discrimination. Lots and lots of us have ideas and stereotypes about those other groups. But if you're in a minority group, you do not have power over the white people in our society. So, I'm just saying, hey, white people, racism, we're not really experiencing it. So, we can talk some more about that, but that's the way we're talking about it in anthropology, and I wanted to make sure everybody was clear with that. And then the last term that maybe folks weren't entirely clear on was racialism, which is the system we grew up in which we really think we know these things about these races. We have clear ideas about race, we know what they mean, we know who goes in what category, and that is very important in our culture. Okay, so let's see. Oh, we have our first written assignment this week, which means two things. One is that I want to really encourage you to very carefully read through all of the instructions of how to do that assignment and how to upload it to Waypoint. And the other one is that I want you to be very clear that this is when that written assignment late policy comes into effect, which means you could conceivably turn in your assignment not by Monday midnight when it's due, but on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. However, for each day you choose to do that, you're going to get a 10% deduction in the available points for that assignment. So you're basically going to get a full letter grade bus. So if you had turned in that paper on Monday and it would have been an A, on Tuesday it's going to be a B, on Wednesday it's going to be a C, and on Thursday it's going to be a D. So really very good to get it in by Monday night. This is 10% of your grade. So basically this assignment is a full letter grade proportion of your grade, right? So do your best to get it in on time, and if you're having any trouble with that, there's a little document on our class website that explains how to upload things to Waypoint. But you'll have already done that this past week, so I feel certain that you'll be just fine. Okay, so if you're having any trouble with that assignment, you have so many options for helping with it. One is that there's lots of help from both the library and the Writing Center right there in our classroom. You can send me an email. You can put a little comment in our Ask Your Instructor forum. If you prefer to actually have a discussion with me as opposed to an email, you're totally welcome to Skype with me. I hold Skype office hours any week that we're having a written assignment, and also any other time that someone wants to make an appointment with me. Send me an email at faye.goodman@faculty.ashford.edu, and we will make an appointment that works for both of us, and we can talk about wherever you're having trouble and how to get it clear. Most of the information that you're going to need, though, is in the assignment, so be sure you've thoroughly read through what's there and see if that answers your questions. I'm totally willing to help, but it's always great if you don't specifically ask me a question that's answered in the assignment, right? Okay, and then our last thing is we're moving on to gender and social organization for next week. Gender is what I study in my own work. It's my favorite week of the class, so I am very excited to move on to that week, and I look forward to hearing the thoughtful and interesting things you all have to say. So, thanks so much, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.